I know a lot of teachers from schools have been thrown in at the deep end of teaching remotely through video recently, which can seem quite daunting. So today I'll be showing you 7 tips for better remote teaching with video. The first thing you need to realize is that you don't have to be producing videos at the level of Spielberg. There doesn't have to be a crazy amount of editing, and once you plan them properly, you can film them in one go. If you're a teacher, you'll be producing multiple videos a day, so efficiency is the key. The first thing to do is see what resources you have, because if you film with all of the cameras that you actually have in your possession, this will make it a lot cheaper and a lot easier. The last thing you want to be doing is going out and buying new cameras and microphones. So with the things you already own, it's quite easy to make videos for remote teaching. Now you might have a DSLR or mirrorless camera lying around at home that you might want to use, but this might not be practical if you need to produce multiple videos every day. It takes me about 30 minutes to film these talking to camera pieces, and I have an auto cue system as well as a script already written. On top of that, it takes around about 4 to 5 hours to edit them. If you're not confident with editing or using an editor, this probably isn't the best choice for you. The next thing you might have at home is a webcam, either built into your computer or as an attachment. These are great as they record the video straight to your laptop, and the files tend to be smaller than from a video camera. The only downside to this is if you're using a webcam like I am now, it's hard to move around. So if you have a flipboard or a whiteboard in the background, you'll have to put your laptop on top of something to be able to have it at the right height. On the other hand, if you do have a plug-in webcam, I'm sure you could get creative and mount it to a higher point if needed. You can use platforms such as Loom, where you can switch between the webcam and the screen capture. This is great if you're showing something on your screen or going through a presentation for your pupils. You can also annotate this with the pen tool, which is fantastic. So have a look into remote teaching platforms such as Loom, VoiceThread, Zoom, or Screencastify. The EduBlogger has some fantastic resources for this, which I've linked in the description below, so check those out. The main device that most of us do have access to is a camera phone. These are practical, you always have them with you, and they're really easy to use. You don't have to buy anything else to get them to work well, so they are relatively budget friendly. However, there are 1 or 2 things that you can buy to make your life a little bit easier. And that's the plan, to make your workflow as efficient as possible. As long as your phone has a camera on it, it should be okay, but just check the quality. And if it is old and you're using a flip chart, post-it notes, or a whiteboard, make sure the text is big and clear. But if you're a teacher, probably know this already. If you are filming yourself with a camera phone, the best bet is to put it into selfie mode so you can see where you are in the frame, and if you have a flip chart or whiteboard behind you, you can align that properly and then get yourself into the frame properly. Now it is great to get yourself in the frame instead of just filming a flipboard, so your pupils can almost treat it as a normal lesson. So get over those shy feelings of being in front of the camera and just do it. Just film it, get the video done, and get on to the next one. Now here's a little extra tip. If you are doing this with a flip chart or a whiteboard, line up the flip chart first in the frame on your camera. So you'll set the camera up, get it on a tripod, line it up, and then you'll have it just to one side. And then you place yourself in between the camera and the flip chart just to one side. So you're on one side of the frame, the flip chart is on the other side of the frame. Also, when you are teaching with a flip chart, don't be scared to turn around and point at the flip chart if there's something you need to show on it. Then you can turn back around to the camera and carry on talking. Another device you might have is an iPad or tablet. This will be a bit of a cross between your phone and your laptop. You'll be able to use it a little bit like your phone in recording your videos, but you won't be able to mount it to a tripod or small phone holder. So it will give you a similar view to your laptop. But if you are going to use this, just follow along with these tips, but ignore the one about the tripod. If you're a teacher, I don't have to tell you this already, but the best way to be confident on screen is to know what you're talking about through and through. Then you'll be able to talk about the subject and get your point across in the shortest amount of time. Also, you need to think about how long your video might be. People can get distracted, so you want to get your point across quickly and succinctly. However, remember not to rush. If you talk too quickly, people will start to lose your point. And when you talk too slowly, they will start to zone out, as well as talking too quietly. So remember to speak up when you are talking. So get an idea of what you want to teach for that given video and then go through it. Don't be afraid of having post-it notes around the camera you are using, either in the background or to the side of your laptop. It doesn't matter if you look away from the camera from time to time, so treat it like a normal lesson. Use everything you have to get through the subject for that video. Now, one tip for teaching: if you follow the I do, we do, you do framework in your normal lessons, this will be a little bit harder when on video. It basically has to change to I do, you do. But you can put a little piece in the video once you've demonstrated the task in hand, saying that if you haven't understood this, go back into the video and watch it again until you do understand it. You can always get them to rewind the video, so just tell them to do that. The other thing you can do is ask them to message you if they don't understand it fully. And through this, you'll start to learn what works and what doesn't. You also have the choice between synchronous and asynchronous videos. This is just a posh way of saying live video or recorded video. If you're really uncomfortable in front of the camera, start with recorded videos, and then if what you're teaching requires it, move on to live videos once you've built up your confidence. To get a good video, you do need good light. The light I'm using at the moment is quite expensive and it's quite bulky and quite bright. But you don't need to be a video professional to get your point across, and you don't need expensive kit like this. The best bet is to find a window in the place that you live and then face that window, putting your phone up against the window or just to one side. So I've got my phone and I'm going to head over to the window in the background. So as I walk up to the window, you can see the light from outside is lighting my face really well. However, the background is a little bit distracting. So if I turn just slightly, but I'm still really close to the window, it's lighting my face really well and the background isn't distracting at all. Now if I turn this way and I have the background behind me, which is much brighter than any light that's hitting my face, you can see I'm a lot darker. The camera is trying to deal with that, but it's struggling a little bit. So just make sure you have the light source behind the camera or just to one side so it's lighting your face. Now if you have a light in your house that you want to use, just make sure it's not directly above you. As long as it's slightly in front of you, it should light your face again and not the top of your head or the background. Now let's talk about audio. Getting good audio will make the video much more watchable. And getting good audio doesn't have to cost that much either. I have a mic just out of shot, just above here, and it's a really good quality mic. But this is for my weekly tutorials, and I want the best quality possible. But for everyday filming with your phone or webcam, you don't really need this. However, there are a few things you can do to make the audio the best it can be for the device that you have. The first thing to do is make sure the room you're filming in is really quiet. And I mean as quiet as possible. If there are others in the house, get them in another room with headphones on watching a movie whilst you film. It just needs to be as quiet as possible with no distracting background noises. Close the doors and any windows to the room that you're in. And if you have any AC, a washing machine or anything noisy like a big old computer with big fans, turn it all off whilst filming. Now if you do venture outside and it is windy, you want to keep that microphone out of the wind. I'd normally do this by hiding behind a building or a tree. You just want to be in the shade so you don't get that wind noise on the microphone. This is the worst thing for your video and sometimes it can make it unwatchable. Also, get away from any background noises like big roads, construction sites and things like that. Those noises can be really distracting. Now most of you will be filming your daily videos with webcams or your phones. And when you're in a quiet environment, the mics are good enough to get your point across. The main thing with the audio is to be as close to the microphone as possible. The closer you are, the better, as long as you're not touching it. And with phones and webcams, they film quite a wide angle, so you can get quite close. If you are filming with your phone handheld, it does pick up the audio really well. You just need to speak up and talk clearly. Also, if you're using a webcam, this will also pick up your voice really well. Then if you're filming with your phone on a tripod, the phone will be a little bit further away from you. But again, if you talk loudly and clearly, you should be able to get good audio with this as well. If you are going to be really far away from the camera, it might be worth buying a lav mic. These are the little ones that sit here like some of the TV presenters have. A little bit like this. It's a little microphone on a clip and it plugs in to whatever device you're using. You can get ones with a really long cable. So say for instance, you were next to the wall in the background. This would be perfect because the cable is really long. And what you could do then is plug it into your phone or your laptop and you could come away from the camera and still be speaking to that camera and your voice levels would be really good because the microphone would be just underneath your chin. Now I've said it already, but you do really need to speak up. If you talk quietly, you will really need to project your voice. So pretend you're in front of a really rowdy class and you're having to speak over them. When you film yourself, you can hold the camera one-handed, but then you might need to present something, you might be doing a demonstration or writing on things such as a whiteboard or a flip chart. And this is where a little tripod comes in handy. So this is another reason why it's good to film with your camera phone. You can buy some really small tripods that work really well with your phone. I have this kind of selfie stick with a tripod on the bottom, and it stands and holds the camera exactly where I want it. I just wouldn't trust this in the wind, and I wouldn't like to be seen in public with it either, because you wouldn't want to be known as one of those selfie stick weirdos. However, this is great for things like this, where you've got it sat on a tabletop and you want your camera at head height. So here you can see I've got my phone on this tripod. I can keep it low like this, or very quickly I can raise it up and lock it into place. So in using this tripod stroke selfie stick, you can put your camera exactly where you want it. And then say for instance, if I had a flipboard in the background here, I'd have that right there and I'd be able to point at it and I could use my hands to point at it without having to hold on to the camera. Now there's a link in the description below to this, and if you're still allowed to go out and about, it might be worth getting one of these from a local phone accessories shop. This one cost me around about $15 or £10 from Amazon. When you're far away from the camera, you can look at the screen or the camera or anywhere close to that camera and it'll look like you're looking down the lens. However, when you're close to the camera, it's obvious when you're looking at the screen and not the lens. So when you're talking directly to your pupils, try and look at the camera and not the screen. So that little black dot at the top of your camera, look directly at that and your pupils will think you're looking directly at them. So now I'm looking at the screen and you can see my eyes looking just away from the camera. Whereas if I look at the camera lens, you can see I'm looking straight at you. So if you're talking directly to your pupils, look at the lens like I'm doing now. Now it can feel really weird when you're talking to an inanimate object like a camera or a phone. And you can feel really awkward to start with, but with a little bit of practice, it does become easier. And the more you do it, the easier it will become. Now, when I look back at the first videos that I did a few years ago, it does look like I've just woken up. And I do sound like a bit of a stoner. But after doing this for a while, I've become a lot more comfortable in talking to camera and being slightly more animated. So if you are feeling awkward, just work through it. And before long, you'll be presenting almost like a daytime TV presenter. And the last tip is to relax. It isn't live video, so if you trip over your words, you can always stop and start again. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll become at doing it. And you never know, if you really like it, you could even start your own YouTube channel. Now, how are you getting on with the remote teaching? Have you started it yet, or is it coming soon for you and your school? If you are a teacher, these are quite trying times, but you can do it. It's not as daunting as it first seems, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments below and I'll see if I can help. Also, if you found this video useful, be sure to share it with anyone else who might benefit from it. Now, if we all band together, we can get through this challenging time and keep everyone learning in the comfort of their own home. And if you're into photography, be sure to subscribe to my channel for weekly tutorials. I'll see you next time.